Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about factoring, and we're going to talk about a specific strategy that we call GCF factoring, where GCF stands for the greatest common factor. So what is the greatest common factor? The greatest common factor can be defined as being the quantity between the terms that is the product of all the factors that are common between those terms in an expression. And so we're going to see some examples of that to really make sure we understand what this thing, the GCF or the greatest common factor is. But I also want to do a quick little review of factors themselves. And so here I have two quantities, 12 and 4x to the fifth written up. And here we just have different ways to factor these individual numbers or these individual quantities. And so when we take a quantity and factor it, we're thinking about writing that original quantity as the product of two other quantities. So for example, if we want to think about breaking apart 12 as the product of two other quantities, there's a few ways we could do that using nice integers. We can multiply 2 and 6 together to get 12. We could also multiply 3 and 4 together to get 12. Or we can multiply 1 and 12 together to get 12. And so all of these numbers are what we say are factors of 12. 2, 6, 3, 4, 1, and 12 are all the integer factors of 12. And we can think about these factors for non-number quantities as well, like 4x to the fifth here. One way to break that down, maybe the most intuitive way, is 4 times x to the fifth. So our factors are 4 and x to the fifth. We could also multiply together 2x and 2x to the fourth to get 4x to the fifth back, right? 2 times 2 gives us 4, then x times x to the fourth gives us 5 copies of x, or x to the fifth. So we could also legitimately say that 2x is a factor of 4x to the fifth, as is 2x to the fourth. Those are all factors of 4x to the fifth. And here's just one more example. There's many, many others that we could list out, but that's not really the point here. Just looking at one more though, 4x cubed times x squared will also multiply together to give us 4x to the fifth. So we can say that 4x cubed is a factor of 4x to the fifth. We could also say x squared is a factor of 4x to the fifth. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and look at finding the greatest common factor between two or more terms. And we're going to start with a two-term expression by looking at 3x minus 6. And so we should recognize right away is that, well, we can write both of these quantities as 3 times some number. Well, the first one is already written as 3 times x, and the second one we can think of as writing as 3 times 2. And so now what we can do is pull out that greatest common factor of 3 from the two terms in our expression. And this is really like undoing that distributive property for multiplication that we've used many, many times before. Factoring is just reversing the use of the distributive property. Okay, so maybe we don't even need to write this initial step because we can see it mentally, but it's always nice to write things out when we can. So we're just taking that 6 and writing it as 3 times 2 to make it very clear and visible what the common factor between our two terms is. The common factor is going to be 3. So we can write that common factor of 3 first, and then what we're going to have left over, we put inside a set of parentheses, and what's inside of these parentheses are going to be the two terms that are left over from the original two terms after we've removed the factor of 3 from each of those terms. So if we look at 3x and remove the factor of 3 from it, we're just left with x. And if we look at negative 3 times 2 and we remove the factor of positive 3 from that, we're left with a negative sign and a 2. So we're left with negative 2. So here's our final answer. We can factor 3x minus 6 as 3 times the quantity x minus 2. And we can always double check our work. If we use the distributive property and expand this, we should get back to where we started. 3 times x gives us 3x, and 3 times negative 2 gives us negative 6. So we haven't factored this correctly. All right, so let's go ahead and check out our next example where we're asked to factor the quantity 5x cubed minus 20x squared. And so we're looking at our two terms here, these two quantities, 5x cubed as well as negative 20x squared. And we're trying to find the greatest common factor between these two terms. Sometimes we'll start by finding a small common factor, and then we look at what's left over and realize there is more. It is totally fine to iterate this process and do it over multiple steps. But ideally, we are finding the greatest common factor from the get-go. And so here, both of our terms involve constants and variables, so we can kind of focus on one part at a time. I usually start with the constant factors. And so here, our constant factors for each term are 5 and 20. and both of those numbers are divisible by 5. They both have a factor of 5. So if we really want to write out all of our work, which is not always necessary, but usually good to do for early examples, we're thinking of this maybe as like 5 times x cubed minus 5 times 4x squared, really just visualizing that common factor of 5 between our two terms. Well, there is more in common between our two terms than just this factor of 5. They also share some common factors of x, and we could pull out 1x, but we can actually pull out more than 1x, right? Both of these terms contain at least 2 factors of x, and we want to create the greatest common factor, so we're going to pull out as much as we can. So if I pull out 2 factors of x from x cubed, that's like pulling out an x squared, and we'll have an x left over. And then if we pull out 2 factors of x from our second term, well, can't really do it because there's only 2, so we're just going to leave that as 5 times 4x squared. But now that everything's written in this factored form, we can see what the greatest common factors are between our two terms. They share a common factor of 5 as well as x squared. So let's go ahead and pull those common factors of 5 and x squared out of each of these two terms. Okay, so if we remove the factors of 5x squared from the first term, we're just left with that factor of x. If we remove the factor of 5 and the factor of x squared from our second term, then we're left with negative 4. And so that's it. That's the factored form of our original expression by pulling out that greatest common factor, in this case, 5x squared. Remember, we can always check our work by using that distributive property, expanding, and just multiplying stuff back together. 5x squared times x gets us back to 5x cubed. 5x squared times negative 4 gets us back to negative 20x squared. So we have this nice factored form of our original expression, and this is really helpful later on, especially when we start trying to solve equations involving these expressions. All right, let's look at another example of factoring using the greatest common factor strategy. This isn't an example that we'll run into super often, but it's still a good one to do for practice, and it will show up occasionally, more so in later classes. So we want to factor this 3-term expression now, where our first term is 3x squared times y squared. Our second term is 6x squared times y, and our third term is negative 9 times x. And so if we're thinking about factoring this by pulling out the greatest common factor, we got to start scanning and looking at our 3 terms and identifying what pieces might be included in that greatest common factor. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. And let's start by looking at those constant pieces. So we have 3, 6, and 9, or negative 9, as the kind of constant factors of each of our terms. And well, the integer factor that is common between 3, 6, and 9, or negative 9, is going to be 3. And so that's the numerical part of the greatest common factor that we're going to pull out of each of these expressions. But there may also be a variable part that we want to look out for as well. So we see 2 copies of x, or x squared, in our first term. We also see 2 copies of x, or an x squared, in our second term, but our final term only has a single copy of x. So we won't be able to pull 2 x's out of each term. We'll only be able to pull at most 1 x out of each term. And we can try to do something similar for the y's. It looks like we have 2 y's in our first term, only a single y in our second term. So maybe we could pull out a single y, but no, we cannot, because there is no y in that third and final term. So our greatest common factor is just going to be 3 times x, and then inside of our parentheses is going to be what remains from each of our original 3 terms after we've extracted that greatest common factor of 3x. Well, if we divide away the factor of 3 from 3x squared times y squared, we're left with no constant factor, or really a constant factor of 1, which we don't write. If we take away one of our factors of x from the 2 we started with, we'll have 1 left over, and we didn't remove any factors of y, so we still have that y squared in our first term. If we move on to our second term, if we remove a factor of 3 or divide away a factor of 3, it's really the same thing. Then we're going to be left with a constant factor of 2. Similarly to the first term, if we take away one of the factors of x, we'll have 1 left over, and we're not really messing with the y's at all. Finishing this off by looking at our last term, that negative 9x, we can divide it by 3 and by x, and all that will be left over is a negative 3. So this is the factored form of our original expression. And notice we can always get back to our original expression if we multiply these quantities inside of the parentheses by that greatest common factor of 3x. 3x times xy squared gives us 3x squared y squared. 3x distributed and multiplied with 2xy gets us back to 6x squared y, and 3x times negative 3 will get us back to negative 9x.